I was on a field trip about third year, and I was absolutely amazed that these rivers were teeming with life, with invertebrates and with microscopic organisms. And so that was really the trigger for me to go on and do postgraduate study and then to have a career in researching this field. Well, I've been very closely linked in with restoration in particular, and so part of our work traditionally was simply to monitor, and now the emphasis is very much more on being able to feed back scientific information to help those on the ground with managing lakes and with managing water quality more generally. So a key part of the research that I do is on what we call lake modelling. And what we try to do is look back at historical records of a lake and to be able to use a model to simulate those, a computer model that tells us about algal concentrations and nutrient concentrations. Once we're happy that the model is predicting those algal levels, for example, then we run the model into the future. And that's, for me, is the really interesting part, because we're creating scenarios. And those future cases are things like climate change, changing the amount of nutrients that come in from the catchment, and seeing what would happen, for example, if we were to pull out koi carp out of some of our lakes that have a very large biomass of koi carp in them. I spent 12 years in Perth, and during that time I developed the water quality models that we currently use. And in fact, those models built on previous ones that were being developed in Western Australia and are now used in more than 70 countries around the world. And so it's very much a global type group of people that are using a common set of tools and addressing almost a common set of problems. So the way that countries, the way that continents are able to manage their water is absolutely critical to, in some cases, the ability to live in certain areas. In the case of New Zealand, we know it's absolutely critical to the way we're perceived environmentally, but also it's integral to our agricultural and export economy. I think New Zealand is unique. We're unique from the point of view of having relatively recent human settlement, and we also have the ability to potentially to learn lessons from what's occurred elsewhere. Now Europe and the US and other places are trying to back out of many years of degradation. In our case, we all know that water quality is declining in New Zealand. We've got clear evidence of that over the last 10 years or so, but we've got the ability to potentially reverse that before it goes too far, before it gets much more difficult to make those sorts of gains.